Yo, check it. Welcome back to another episode
of Yo, Check It.
This is episode 53.
53.
I think. I'm pretty sure it is.
How many in the studio? We should keep track of that too. Not that it matters.
Yeah.
You know what we need to do is update your picture.
I did update the picture.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not us.
Fine.
It needs to be a you and me picture, JERiCK.
All right.
It was special for you and.
Okay, we can do some pictures.
Next week though, not right now.
Yeah. But anyways, today we have
a special guest.
And he's a Frenchman.
And that and that special guest is.
Put it this way, I can be whatever you want me to be.
He's a Frenchman.
A man of your dreams.
A man of somebody's dreams.
Yes. Man of many talents. Hi guys.
I thought you were gonna do the French accent, dude.
Okay, yeah.
Do
That's why I said Frenchman.
Sorry.
Do a sample audition.
Hello guys, my name is Stan and I am going to be your Frenchman today.
Okay, don't be our Frenchman.
Okay, yeah, we don't like that. We
That's
don't
pretty
like
cool.
Hi guys, thank you for having me on.
I couldn't do it.
For those that don't know, my name is Stan. My Instagram handle is _underscores between all those words.
What's that? What's that mean? In stand, we stand.
So like it's that
saying, right? Like that.
Yeah, it's
Is
like,
it?
oh, I stand something. And I was like, I thought I was being clever with my username. So I was like, okay, in Stan, we stand. We all, you know, so.
We all stand.
Yeah, that's a knee
By
slapper for
Stan.
sure.
It's all right. Let's give him credit for being creative.
You know, you got to, you know.
Yeah.
Everybody's so dry nowadays, man.
I know.
When I go on a date, I got to at least tell her, like, hey, listen, my Instagram handle's somewhat popping. Like,
In stand, we stand.
right? Like, you know, just at least consider me, at least. Jeez.
But because of my Instagram handle.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Dating these days.
I can't even tell you what my Snapchat handle is. Oh, my God.
What is it?
Okay, so it's quite the opposite of what my Instagram one is. It's really corny, but it's CAPT space Cheez It with a Z instead of an S.
So like
Captain Cheez It.
Cheez It.
Yeah, because I was actually eating a box of Cheez Its in my room all by my lonesome. It was one of the like depression days, like in high school.
Oh, wow.
And I made my Snapchat and I was like, Captain Cheez It.
And you can't change it.
You can't?
No.
can't.
I thought you can.
Snapchat does you dirty like
It
that.
does.
Oh,
It really
I didn't
does.
know
Like
that.
you got to make a whole new account if you
I
want to
don't
be
really use
somebody
Snapchat
else.
that often.
I don't either, but they be popping with the filters sometimes.
Yeah, they got some cool filters.
Mm-hmm.
I used to use that a lot when I lived in Vegas.
Filters.
You know, let's go down the social media spiral before.
Perfect.
Who
Huh?
did you ever have a Zanga?
No, not Zanga.
It's the same.
This guy's a youngin'.
So I had
It's like, I really, just for a second, I thought it was like an iteration of Jenga.
that was like a
could've been.
blog. Is it like a blog, right?
And oh my gosh, I wish I could find what I used to write because I know for sure I was in my feelings. My stupid handle was Your Asian Beauty, and I did your like EUR AZN because I was like I'm Italian and Filipino.
Okay. Oh, that's
And I was
clever.
A little
Hey, that's a
cutesy,
great
clever.
a
That's
little
clever.
cutesy patootsy back in the day.
Hey, maybe can we still find that?
I don't
or is it
know.
just like the website is just gone now?
It's probably just gone.
My
but
first
you
social
have a
media was Friendster.
Yeah, I had a Friendster too, and I got yelled at by Kuya James.
Yeah.
I'm hearing a bunch of these website names that I'm just.
Friendster?
Oh, man.
No,
How
so-
old are you?
I know I'm old enough to where I had MySpace when I was like 13
Okay.
for like a year, and then Facebook came out,
Oh,
and then Facebook was like what everybody was on until.
yeah. It was like Friendster, and then I did AIM. That was like the.
Oh,
okay.
man.
So AIM, yes.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
that wasn't like social media. That was like chat room,
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
chat.
right? But I would definitely.
Because I mean, like we didn't really have unlimited text during that time, so like those.
I didn't even have
That's
a
true.
cell phone yet.
That's true.
I just had the internet. Like I think I was like almost done with high school when I got a cell phone, and it was a flip phone Razor.
Hey,
Super cool.
MySpace was popping though. MySpace was dope.
Dude, I feel like we all knew how to like code lightweight when we had MySpace.
Yeah.
Because like you change the background and like do all these
Yeah,
different
basically.
codes to like.
And I think that's why That's why it couldn't last because everybody was fucking around with their website.
Yeah.
And then it
The
was
top 10.
Oh yeah,
That was brutal for friendships.
I know.
Like, I see you bump me down to number 3.
Oh yes, I got so much flack for that.
God,
Yo,
how horrible. Like, they made you decide who number 1 was.
that's a hard pick. I mean, like, I guess
That's true.
God.
I guess that was like the
anxiety.
subliminal of that time period. Like, if you slighted your friend, you're moving down the list.
Yeah.
So like, because like, you guys remember you could put music on your page.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So
Oh
funny
my gosh.
enough, I saw a post the other day, and it was like, somebody on Twitter, and it like you can clearly tell this person hasn't experienced the past generations like iterations of social media, because she was like, guys, on Facebook and Twitter, we need to have like you should have music on
yeah,
our
I
page.
saw that.
Right. And I was like, oh my god, this person does not know MySpace
I
exists.
know.
Yeah, I mean, like
Been
if you
there,
think
done
about it, you
that.
didn't even know what Friendster was.
Yeah,
So I was
that's
like,
true.
I
Oh,
think you can
man.
tell like how old a person is, or like if they don't know what social media was
Oh my
back in the
gosh.
day.
And you know what's funny? There was another one that. So when I was like in middle school too, there would be like a call-in line where you would
A what?
like a call-in like a hotline where you call and just talk to like random people
What?
on your like landline.
What?
No, I'd never done that.
I've
and
never heard of that.
there was like another site I remember too. It was called Hot or Not, and you would put your picture. You would put your.
Oh,
That
no,
sounds
no.
like Tinder.
Okay.
It sounds. It's like I think it's like the non-dating version of Tinder because you
Okay.
would be
Yes.
like.
I do
yes,
remember
yes,
that.
You're hot. No,
Hot
you're
or
not hot.
Yeah,
I've seen that.
that's kind of
God.
some sorts of fucked up shit, man.
It is, bro. Because I'm like, man, I was like, what, early high school. Putting my. I'm sorry, mom and dad. I'm sorry, I did that to my life.
Yeah, I remember when you used to the 9 o'clock calls. Like you can only call after 9 because like that was the unlimited calls.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we're old.
And like hide under your bed, pretending you're asleep, so mom doesn't come in and be like, "Why are you on the phone?"
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's like today's generation too, but I mean, like a lot of the, okay, I hate to sound like, I hate what I'm about to say. Okay, it doesn't make it, I'm not this person, but it's from the experience of my friends. Okay, so a lot of people nowadays, a lot of girls, right, don't like talking on the phone,
Yes.
like texting, right? Because it's you know what? Sorry, it's men and women both. Okay, they don't like talking on the phone because it's easier to think about the emotional response you're going to give the other person over text. Because if I'm like voice to voice with you, you have like seconds.
Yeah.
Whereas
That's
if
true.
If
That's
I texted
true.
you
Like you're on the spot.
right, or if I texted you, hey, I like you, let's be something, you can actually like give it 3 hours.
Yeah.
Let it sit
Or
there.
a whole day.
Right.
But then it's like a double-edged sword, because like you text somebody and like it's so hard to like give off emotions through text, and then they could perceive it like how they want to
Yeah,
perceive
it's
it too,
hard. That's why emojis come into play. I just,
Yeah, if you don't put emoji in, there's like,
if you
oh,
don't
she doesn't
put
like
what
it.
emotion you have, I'm gonna assume the worst. It's wild.
Nowadays,
Anyways.
the gravity of an emoji is like imperative now.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you guys understand this or feel this, but like, I can't just send a heart emoji to anybody now. I can't just be like, oh my God, that is so awesome, heart emoji. I can't do that because
That
now,
is kind of true.
Oh damn! I'm
Now,
doing
like-
that on DMs.
right.
Yeah, Felicia
Like,
sliding the DMs.
I'm trying to rent the studio. Heart.
Right. See, like I get like there's like a difference there. So like on Instagram,
That's more of a like,
right, like
Okay.
like oh yeah, I approve of
Right,
that.
yeah.
Whereas like if I'm texting somebody like hey you, or like hey big head, and then like I put like a heart emoji right next to it, that means like oh I really like you. Like
I really like your big head.
Yeah. It's a figure of speech. Means that like if I say hey big head, it means like hey I like what's going on in your head.
Oh.
Hey, big head.
Ain't nobody ever said that to me. Anthony. I'm just kidding. I'm going to try that when I go home.
Oh, shit.
He'd be like, why the hell you call me big head?
Yeah, right?
We're not up to date with the lingo. Anyways, we kind of almost went down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But since we have a guest, we have to do the usual
usual
two questions.
2 questions. Yeah.
All right, you ready for these questions?
Shoot.
What's the first question, JERiCK?
First question. What's your guilty pleasure?
Does it have to be just one?
You can say how many as you want.
It's not like a list. It's not like 99 problems, but a bitch ain't one. Something like that. It's not like that. It's like, for me, guilty pleasures.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Let's say, if you're going to say more, let's just say max 3.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
It's like, because I have exactly 3.
I would say for me, it's because I used to be, so way back when, not that long ago, but like a couple years ago.
Last year. Yesterday.
I was a boxer. Like I was like heavily.
Okay.
I was
Oh,
heavily into
really?
boxing. Yeah,
Okay.
like, ever since I was a kid. Since I was 7, I actually started boxing. But like, you know, one of my things was like, although, you know, I didn't enjoy it thoroughly, I could go to the gym and punch a bag, and I can actually like feel the emotion, the negative emotion leave my body, and that pleased me so much. So like I would go to the gym, and you would just, you know, you would just see me going crazy on the bag,
Right.
and then my teammates are like, "What the hell's wrong with this kid? What's wrong with him today?" But I would just be able to, like, within me, it was like pleasurable to just know that every punch is just leaving my body, you know.
That's good. That's a good release, though.
Yeah.
I tried
Definitely.
boxing a little bit, too.
We tried the kickboxing thing.
I'm just saying, boxing is hard.
Oh, tell
Like,
me about it.
I tried to do, like, the whole sparring thing. Man,
What?
the lungs you need.
You sparred?
So I started at Elite Boxing before they moved over here on Wells. And like you, I had a lot of rage, so I would like go there and, you know, hit the bag and stuff. But they legit wanted me to like be in
Spar?
competition.
Oh.
And my dad has too, because I just got. I'm not that I'm not nice. I am nice, but
There's a bad side.
I can also be very mean, so don't piss me off. No, but I've always considered it. My dad's like, you should be in like, he wanted me to do like MMA. I'm like, relax. I ain't doing that. Break my damn leg off.
I say MMA is a lot harder than boxing for sure, because it's like a lot more fatigue.
Like full body,
Yeah.
yeah, because you're exerting like, yeah, a lot of muscles.
Those guys
happening.
are. those
But no,
guys are
anybody who's boxed and they do the matches, like 2 minutes is a long ass time. Like
Yeah.
a long ass time.
My dad was my head coach growing
Damn,
up.
that's so cool.
It was 50-50, like a double-edged
Yeah.
sword.
Yeah,
because-
because like he can be extra tough on you, you know?
Right.
like he can get away with the things you can't get away with other kids.
Yeah, because you're his son.
Right. You know, so like I feel like JERiCK's gonna like let the audience know what the topic we're talking about today, but I know what it is, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna lead to it. But I'll talk about it more when we get into it.
Yeah.
But growing up, having a father as your coach is it definitely gets you in like a certain mentality for sure.
Right. Interesting.
But the main guilty pleasure, you know, that's just like a secondary one. The main one was I like being in front of the camera.
Oh, okay.
You know, oddly enough, my dad exposed me to a lot of different entertainment aspects, music, photography, videography, and he put some time into them. But you know, I got wrapped up in it in high school.
Yeah.
I was a photographer, videographer growing up doing that stuff. But then I found out, you know, hey, shout out to Hernan, K17 XVII on Instagram. He opened my eyes to being a model in front of a camera.
Oh.
And so I got a little giggly.
A little
I
giggly.
get a little giggly when
I
I'm in
mean,
front
it's
of the camera.
different when you. I mean, this is gonna be on the topic, but I'll just save that for later.
For later.
My comment for later.
Got it.
Yeah.
Don't lose it.
Yeah.
Write it
I
down.
won't forget it.
Okay, don't forget.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, those are pretty interesting.
Yeah,
Guilty
'cause
pleasure.
I would have never, I mean, definitely the boxing, I would have never guessed.
Yeah, that's the one that's out of left field, man. Because I don't condone violence, even though I can get violent. Just kidding.
Damn.
But yeah, it's just kind of one of those things that's like develops as you like go through life.
Right. Interesting. And the side note, might get sidetracked. Try not to get sidetracked. But so your relationship with your father, are you still on good terms with your father?
Oh yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, I am. He's involved in my life right now.
Oh.
I try to be the son that reaches out, communicates. So over time he's gotten a lot closer, and we've talked a lot more. I'm way closer with my mom and my stepfather.
Right.
I'm a child and product of a split household. So growing up, I had to juggle both households. So.
Right.
But no, yeah, it's a good place.
Good. That's good to hear.
All right. Second question, Felicia.
Oh, second question. So what are you obsessed with currently?
Ooh.
Like, what is your obsession?
Current obsession. Like in the last couple of weeks
Oh,
or
I
so.
feel like if I answer this wrong, some people are gonna get upset.
Let them get upset.
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck?
Well, I mean,
Exactly.
damn. That is a good question. Because so the other JERiCK's question, there's a method to it, but that question right there, you really got to think about. I've been obsessed with. God.
It has to be current, man.
I know. I get it, but I'm trying not to hurt people's feelings.
That's okay.
It's
Cares,
political.
dude.
They're gonna see this.
And if they if their feelings get hurt, good, because that means they watched it.
I know. I know, right? If there's a hate comment somewhere, but
Okay.
How dare he?
Recently, I've been really obsessed in myself, actually, but not like a self-centered type of way. I think that I'm really just I was going through a rough patch for sure.
Right.
I'm like coming out of it full steam, and I'm I knew my potential before I entered that little dark hole that I crawled myself into, and it's great to know when I coming out of it how much easy things are for me when I actually just commit and just do it. So
that's actually really good.
Yeah, that's a good
I
obsession.
think being obsessed with yourself to an extent is a good thing, because you can kind of, link that with self-love and
yeah.
yes, for sure.
Because you can't be obsessed with yourself unless you, in a sense, love yourself.
True. I mean, I'm not over here looking at myself in the mirror like, damn.
You're like, ooh, Stan.
Damn. I'm not over here like rubbing lotion on my body. Like, hey.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that lotion on you later. Oh my God. No, that's funny. No, but that's cool. That's a good answer. I like it.
Yeah.
No one can be mad at you for that. And if they are mad at you, shame on them.
I know. Like, who gives a shit? Like,
it's just,
you're not hurting anybody.
I feel like this industry that, we're all involved in, outside of the podcast. I mean,
Yeah.
it's driven by politics. There's a lot of political aspects to it. And, I've learned I have to like check what I say or really think about the words I say beforehand, because it really could prevent me from working with somebody because they feel some type of way or like, oh, I really thought this guy was genuine. And I'm like, I am genuine, bro.
Honestly, so I have a comment on that, but I guess we'll just jump into the topic since we're already gonna start there. So today's topic is ego.
EGO. Ego.
Not the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Not the main.
Although that would be cool. Kind of cool.
But yeah,
But anyways.
do you guys want to explain what we want to talk about
So
today?
the reason why I wanted to talk, or I suggested ego being a topic, is kind of based off the conversation we had the other night here, and you talked about having an ego death. So I'm so curious to know why you had an ego death, or what was your ego beforehand, especially because I think that's something I definitely lack. I'm probably like there's like an extreme to having an ego, and there's an extreme to not having one at all, to where it's almost like a fault. You know what I mean? It kind of prevents you a little bit. So it's like you, in a sense, need to have a little bit of a balance, because ego, a tiny bit, can't be horrible.
Yeah, I mean, it protects you from things.
But yeah, it was such an intriguing thing to hear because I've never heard someone say,
I have had an ego
I
death.
had an ego death. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, what is an ego death?
So
tell me.
So funny enough, right? I'll get into the whole thing about, but like what led up to that ego death.
Mm-hmm.
I had went to California for like a release party for like one of my producer friends, and it was like at like this like nightclub or whatever, and I was in there. We were just sitting around, and he is one of the most egotistical people I've met in my entire life, aside from me at the time.
Okay.
And this is before I had to go through like a whole like I changed, mind, body, and soul. And so at that time I was like, I'm way better than everybody.
Oh.
I destroy my competition.
Right.
I'll sit there. If you had said something to me that I didn't like, I would overanalyze the person, what they did, their background, and find out some way to beat them. Every tool possible. It was like a weird, I hate talking about it because that person that I was before is so cringy. But anyway, he was, talking about, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that. And I'm like, dude, we're like, if you were like on like a celebrities list, like status list, you'd be like an E celebrity. Like you're not even up there yet. Like, yes, we're in LA. Yes, we're in a nightclub doing a release party. And there's like some, pretty good looking people here that got connections. Like it's cool and all, but like it put things in perspective for me. Cause I was just realizing that, what am I doing?
Right.
And so somebody had also overheard what he was talking about and said, hey, because obviously you can tell I was uncomfortable. And he had said, hey, dude, I have these psychedelics. Like, if you really want to achieve ego death, you can. I'm like, what's ego death? He's like,
What was it?
Oh, man. Oh, it was shrooms. But it was like shrooms.
Same for me.
It was shrooms laced.
Shrooms was amazing.
It was laced with something, though, because I felt like for me, I have clarity when I come off shrooms regularly. There's clarity when you're on your come down.
Yeah.
But these, I didn't have clarity. It was like I went straight through the trip. It was like I took not acid. DMT. It felt like DMT. It felt like that because
I've never done DMT, so I don't know. But
you're like a zombie.
I mean, if it's like DMT, then it must be really extreme.
Oh, it was, man.
Yeah.
I was very scary because I woke up and I was like, yeah, this is not me anymore. I can't wake up every day looking at myself trying to ruin my friends.
Right.
When, like what I told you the other day was, why would I want, because JERiCK and I do music.
Right.
Why am I going to try to go ahead and subvert, like close him off or block him when lo and behold, he might have an idea or he might say something to me on like a friendship level that might get me to the next level that I need to, and vice versa. And, I might not know a lot of things. Like I don't know how to set up this radio stuff. But if I'm good buddies with JERiCK and I like, hey man, can you help me out understand the setup? Like, sure, bro, I got you. Or like with you and like when it comes to studio or just being a creative genius, hey.
Oh. That went over my head.
That was a compliment for you, Felicia.
See, I told you I'm the horrible opposite.
You need a little bit more ego, Felicia. Let's go.
Thank you, though. Appreciate it.
Like if I need to be inspired by something and I'm having a tough time, I could just say like, hey, Felicia, what's the word?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the moon and stars. What else do I need? And be like, hey, throw some clouds in there.
This.
Damn. Mic drop. Some
true.
Clouds. So, that my ego death. I remember parts of it, but the resolution from it was, I need to change my ways.
Right.
Be better.
And was it an instant, how did you start to recognize that you were changing your ways?
When I when I had entered my like super huge depressed phase, I entered like a depression that I felt like I was never going to be able to get out of.
When was this? Just so we have some
Yeah.
context on like the timeline.
Oh, so this ego death happened maybe 8-9 months ago.
Okay, so just
9,
recent,
10
pretty
months ago.
recent.
Pretty recent, yeah. But then I didn't change right after, but I started like my mental process was this. I was like, I'm gonna keep doing me, but when people say things that I'm doing that's bad or wrong, I'm gonna change them. And then I started doing that, but then it started coming into clash with like, I'm not happy with myself, my life. Like it put me in that space because for so long I operated like a complete a-hole.
Right.
Like I could have been so much further in my career. I could have had better relationships with my friends. I could have had a better relationship with my mind and my soul.
Right.
If I had just done it earlier. And that drove me down into this point where, it's hard to see like the light of the day, And I'm very grateful that I had friends that would point out, certain things and call me out on them, because if I didn't have them, I wouldn't have been who I wouldn't be where I'm at now.
Right.
So,
Interesting.
yeah. And I had to cut people out of my life
That's the hardest part, I think.
As bad as it sounds, it wasn't.
Really?
Yeah, it really isn't, honestly. Because if it's like, if they're affecting you like negatively, like why would it be hard to get rid of that? Like,
See,
I mean, I get
where-
it because it's like, oh, we've been friends for a long time, but it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, but we just don't get along anymore. Like, why? So like, it's
Doesn't make
cool.
any
Like,
sense.
people will live whatever they want to live, and I think we should normalize. Honestly, I think we should normalize getting rid of people.
Yeah. It's
As
hard,
bad as that
though.
sounds, but like,
For me, it's hard because I enjoy trying to help everybody and bring everybody together.
Yeah.
So it is difficult for me to try and just release somebody without trying or knowing that I made an effort to try and correct it, which isn't helpful.
I mean,
'cause it
obviously we try, but then if it's like, you can't help somebody that doesn't want to be helped.
doesn't want help. Yeah.
It's like a 50-50 because, I agree with JERiCK. Normalize it. But like along with that statement, normalize it, but by being cautious too at the same time. Because, you can get people that you can turn people heartless because of that. Because they
True.
just like,
True.
I can just, for instance, I walk in here and I'm just meeting you guys. You guys say 2 things. I'm like, ugh, gross. Done. Like, I haven't even made the effort to actually understand.
Right.
That's true.
Right. So, and then, Felicia, I see that too, like make an effort because, sometimes people are not going through the best time in their lives either.
Right. That's
And
true.
so they actually could be amazing people,
Yeah.
but not in that moment. And so for me, for me it was both. I ended up having spreading out relationships or like extending them with people that at the time I couldn't have that relationship with because they were still going through their own thing.
Right.
And then, later on in life when you're solid,
Yeah.
100, then rekindle with that.
And then it's, sometimes too, like people just need time. So like sometimes you don't see or you don't talk to people for like years and then they come back to your life. Like, I didn't talk
Yeah.
to you for like 10 years.
Yeah, I know.
And then now here we are.
Look at you guys.
And it wouldn't have
a
been
podcast.
I mean, we didn't get into a fight, but we
right,
just
but
like,
different interests, different paths.
we lived like different lives.
And it wouldn't have aligned anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, the things I was getting into, I don't think you wouldn't have want to have been my friend. But no, it's interesting that you talk about ego and you kind of overcoming all these different things because I've always, like one of the things I've said in my earliest posts, and I talked about ego and bringing your ego into this space. Because I feel like that is the biggest wall you can put up when it comes to your own growth because you're preventing yourself from learning something. And I've always felt like if you had too much ego, it's like you already think you're the best.
Yeah.
And so when you're already the best, how do you become better than the best?
Because honestly, I think ego kind of cripples people to Especially, I'm just gonna speak from like a creative point of view. So I made my album. I wrote all the songs. Basically did everything. In my head, if I have like that ego, like everybody needs to like this,
Right.
like, cause like, oh, I think it's like the best song ever or whatever, you know? And then, like, I want every single person to like this, but it's like, that's not possible because like in my head, so I always go back to me. I'm like, I don't like certain things. Like, who am I to like, to assume that everybody's gonna like this song that I just made, you know?
Right.
And like, especially as a creative, like, you gotta put your ego out of the door because people will decide what they like and what they don't like. You know, ultimately, like if you're good, the audience will decide. I mean, like it is what it is. It's
That's
like
true.
because they're the ones that put you up there. Like that's why where the artists are, they have all this following because for some reason, like everybody just likes their shit.
I agree. What I was going to get into in the very beginning was, so when I was going on my ego journey, I did research.
So this is when you had your ego.
Oh, this is when I had the death
your
of
ego
it.
death,
I was like, what am I experiencing? What's the difference? Why do we have certain things that we go through? So here's what it is, right? Everybody is born innocent. As a child, we are born pure. We don't have... The ego is a self that we've created over time. It's usually through our culture, through the media that surrounds us, right? If I grew up in a household where there's no television and we implemented family, my ego is going to develop into a family persona. So if I'm around people who are constantly subverting each other and trying to get the other upper hand on each other, my ego is going to be sly, sneaky. I'm gonna be happy, all cheery with you,
and
then I'm actually gonna be trying to like pull the rug up from under you. So everybody has a normal ego. Then there's like a level. Then there's narcissistic ego, which is like on a whole different plane. That's like you have ego, and then you have narcissistic ego. So the outside over here, that that takes a very strong person to deal with.
Right.
Because one, you're narcissistic, and two, you have a very strong ego. So there's a lot going on in that circle. But then when you go from the normal ego and you branch out to two, so it's ego power and then big ego. Now, the difference between the two is this. Ego power is when somebody is in high tune, very extreme high tune with themselves. They can actually say they may have had an ego death, but they haven't had an ego death yet because I'm more in tune with myself. I understand my emotions. No, you haven't had ego death yet. That just means you're understanding yourself and you're okay with yourself.
Interesting.
That's so you can analyze things better than most people. You're usually in a leadership position when you have an ego power. Now, big ego is the counter to that. Big ego is when your ego is inflated. So
I was gonna say between the two, ego power sounds better than big ego.
Right, but there's a downfall to both. With ego power, big ego. It's basically like I just started producing, right? But I'm the best but you're using that inflated personality,
right,
to drive you, to get you somewhere, because if you don't have that pushing you, then nothing else will. When in fact, that's just creating a monster in itself.
Interesting.
Right? But ego power actually also creates a different type of monster. It's like the personality that stems from that is just like, I can't listen to anything else though. Oh, negative energy, I can't hear it. Like I have a lot of I have a lot of friends. A lot of my friends right now are ego power, and I'm happy about that because it takes a lot out of a person to have ego death. I mean, look at me. I had the death, and then I went through like the most depressing phase of my life. I look at bread and I'm like, ugh. I touch like a pencil to write something and I'm like, life is meaningless. Like, We're
not laughing, but
No, I get it. I mean, to me, it's funny now because I'm like, that was me.
Right.
But, you know, I'm looking at it now, you know, it was just so bad, you know, and a lot of people go through this too, you know, and it's, you know, it's hard to help fix it, but like seeing that being like recovery from an ego death, and having friends that are ego power based, it's very inspiring. It's very lifting.
How so?
Because they aren't negative towards you. They know what they know they do what they do well. But they're not to the point where it's like screw you.
Right.
But they'll like, if they understand you as a person, they'll know your potential too. And so the like I said, big, ego power usually you're in leadership positions. So you're gonna want to go ahead and help lead your friends to like different, you know, avenues. Like, hey man, you stop producing, you stop doing photography. Why? Get back into it, man. Like, hey, little steps. Like, I'll introduce you to this guy, or I'll bring you out here. You can come meet my friends and we'll talk. Right? That's good. But the thing with that is once you start, let's say once you start taking over their world, then you see the person start like they look like their personality shifts a little bit from you. Oh, I'm happy for you. Man, fuck that guy.
Oh.
Fuck that guy. How did he get so much better than me out of nowhere?
Right.
Right? Because like they were putting their energy into you and then everything else they were doing. And now they're realizing that this person is just like going farther. They're not completely mad about it, but you know, when they know they own a certain realm, and then you start taking over that realm and everything else too, and you start becoming what everybody else wants to be or wants to be a part of, then that's when like that ego starts to come out.
Interesting.
Yeah. There's a whole thing to it.
If you were to define yourself as one of the two, what ego were you prior to your ego death?
Oh, both.
Oh, balanced.
Because
just ego.
Well, I mean, I was narcissistic too.
Oh, so you're the
I was
triple
that.
threat.
I was that.
The triple threat.
I was that one person that was out here that like my family was having a struggle dealing with. Like my mom, you know, when you're a parent, Felicia. You know, you love your child.
Yes.
Like
I love him so much.
And
he's also 3 though, so
right,
really easy to love right now.
Right. But as time goes on, like you in your head, you'd say nothing in this world will ever make me not love my child. Nothing. I can tell you, I can solemnly swear, I think I pushed my parents to the edge where they were like, what the hell?
Really?
Because my parents weren't raised like that. My parents came from nothing.
Right.
My parents' poverty level.
Yeah.
Like, and they got somewhere in life. You know, they have a family. They were successful in their own avenues, and they have the humility and the humbleness because they know they came from rags. You know, sleeping on someone's couch for like months, not having clothes. Like
right.
That and all their friends know that of them. Like they identify with that. So they're not going to be out here like, I'm the best, I'm the hot shot. Yes, they're probably in their prime years when they were getting that money and they were like feeling hot. Yeah, they were into themselves, but they weren't going too much to where they're like, I'm fake.
Right.
You know? But when they had me, because I was the firstborn, between my parents, they have other kids, but they were like, whoa, what the hell did we create?
Who is this monster?
Because my mom, my parents, like I said, they both weren't there. And so, my mom was more there than my dad was.
Right.
But, you know, my mom, she wanted to give me everything she never had. And so when my mom started making some serious cash, she was like, I'm gonna pour every cent into this kid.
Right.
So she'd buy me the best clothes. I was having shoes like this at like a kid's age. You know, like 8, 9 or 10, and I would wreck them for no reason. Yeah. You know, I would have like the best toys, the best game systems. I'd have the crappiest grades. Like it was like the reinforcement for it wasn't there, you know, but I was getting what I wanted.
Right.
And then my dad would compensate too because he wasn't you know, he was my coach. He didn't treat me the best, you know.
Right.
And you know, that relationship right there, you compensate with getting me what I wanted to, you know. Lo and
Wow.
behold, you know what that created?
A brat.
Yes. No,
I mean,
definitely did.
But no, that I guess contributed to
Building that.
Yeah, building that, and because then, right, then you expect that same type of treatment from everybody else.
Yes.
So now you're looking for that in other places, and not everyone is going to give you what you want.
Right, because they don't know you.
Yeah.
They're like I get it when like you're surrounded that. I get when you're around that person growing up and you understand their lifestyle. You would get that as a friend. You'd be like, okay, cool, like, and you're okay with it.
Right.
You get it, so you're not gonna like overly think about it. But let's, you know, if I'm going up to somebody I don't know, like let's say let's do a throwback to boxing, right? In the prime of my boxing team, I had several coaches that just focused on me.
Wow.
Like most people, when they go to a boxing gym, they have one coach that like maybe wants to work with them. I had a head coach, a conditioning coach, a strength coach, a cardio. Like I had like a coach for everything. And then they would spend hours with me. And then my practices were like 4.5, 5 hours. And so I get the best drinks. I'd have my proteins already, my supplements set up. Everything was good. I felt like what's that guy's name from Rocky 3? Or is it Rocky 2? The Russian dude?
Oh, he was also in the Creeds, right? The last two.
Yes.
I gotta look it up.
Okay, so
I'm gonna look it up. Now I need to know.
So that Russian guy, okay, you know, because you can see when they're both training, Rocky had nothing, but he had the scientists. He was on machines that like no one ever seen before, and so, you know, coming from that, and then like you taking a year hiatus off of it, and then going to work at another gym, you're like, where's my coaches at?
Yeah.
You know, I want my sparring partners.
Because I think once you like grown up to be like really spoiled, like once you get out of there, it's like, what the fuck, you know? Like it's a big what the fuck moment. It'd be like
Embarrassing.
Yeah, because for me,
The Drago.
Ivan Drago. Ivan Drago.
because like for me, I wasn't really like super spoiled, but then I grew up in the Philippines where we had maids, and everything was basically done for me. You know, I didn't have to do any chores. You know, like they would feed me, they would take care of me.
I had that too.
So it's like stuff like that. When I moved from the Philippines to here, I think I was like 12 years old. And then I had to like do my own chores. I had to wash dishes and do my own laundry. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I was like, I wasn't like used to that kind of lifestyle. Cause like in the
Wow.
Philippines, everything was basically like, you know, cause it's kind of normal over there. If you have a little bit of money, like it's normal to have maids. So it's not like,
Right.
oh, you're super rich and you know,
Right.
but it was like, if you're middle class, usually you'll have maids.
It's part of that lifestyle.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
like just the culture and the lifestyle in there. And yeah, when I first moved here, I was like, shit, like I have to do my own shit, you know? I was like, what the fuck? So it was like that was like a big transition for me, like not just like the culture, like the American culture, but like also adjusting to, because I used to get like arguments with my stepdad because, you know, like he would want me to do like the dishes, and I'm just like, I don't want to fucking do the dishes, you know? And then
Oh
like
my
I would like go to my
gosh.
mom because, you know, because
He wants me to do the dishes.
she would kind of like spoil me, so like she would
Right.
kind of like protect me in a way,
Right,
you know.
Really? Oh no.
Yeah, so it was that bad. But yeah, so I totally get like, I mean, obviously it's different, but like it's being spoiled and not being spoiled
Right.
is like
The
it's
transition.
a big difference.
Interesting.
How long for you did it take to, I mean, did you ever get out of that frustration? And if so, how long did it take?
Honestly, obviously I got kind of used to like doing the chores, but when I was still living with my parents, I would still get like that, not necessarily an argument, but like just that tension with my stepdad, because because my mom would just, you know, help me do the dishes and stuff, but like my stepdad wants me to do the dishes, so I'm just
Right.
like, I get like that conflict, you know, and then like I
Yeah.
would still do it, but I'm just like, fuck this shit, you know.
I'm moving out.
But when I actually,
I'm leaving tomorrow.
yeah, when I finally moved out of the house, I was just like,
Who's
huh.
gonna do your dishes now?
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna hire a maid.
So like that was kind of like
Reality.
the reality check for me.
You're like, oh shit, I really needed to do the dishes.
Yeah, because like I really need to do like all these chores by myself now. Like I don't have to.
Yeah, ain't nobody gonna do it for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but
Wow.
honestly, so when we're talking about ego death, I don't know if I fully have that death, but I did have an experience with the psychedelics too, where so I took shrooms September last year. So I don't know how many months that is.
Right.
I realized it was funny because like when I was like tripping, like basically the peak of my trip, I was like, fuck, I thought I knew everything. Because like
Right.
before that, I was already kind of changing, you know, I've had like self-development and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
You're like, I'm living
Yeah,
it.
like
I'm on it.
Yeah, I'm on it. I've got my shit
This is
together.
it.
Like I quit my job, you
This
know.
is life.
I was like, I'm living my life. Like I'm not in like the 9 to 5 thing anymore. That was kind of like my ego. I didn't think of it as like an egotistical way, but like obviously that was like an
Felt
ego.
pretty high, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I was like, oh, I got my shit together. Like I didn't think of myself like being better than everybody, but I was like, oh, I'm ahead of the game, you know?
Right, yeah.
Because like we always kind of like, oh, we don't want 9 to 5, at least for like other a lot of people. So like getting out of that was kind of like, oh, I'm ahead of the game. And then when I took that shroom trip, I was like, I know nothing.
Like, I'm not ahead of the game. I'm behind the game.
Yeah, no, honestly, like because
I
like
was in the wrong
obviously
game.
that was like a different like awakening for me too, like spirituality wise.
Right, right.
Yeah, because I thought I knew everything, and then when I was tripping, I was like, fuck, I don't know anything. And I seriously thought I was just gonna be like a hippie. Like, do I just fucking drop everything that I'm doing and
JERiCK the hippie.
honest? Yeah, because it's
could
crazy. It's crazy to
never.
think because like
dreadlocks and everything.
yeah, or somebody that's like really into like technology, all the good shit, you know,
Right.
to become a hippie and not even want all these material things. It was like a very interesting moment. Like obviously I came down from that and then like came back to reality.
Right.
But after that, it was kind of like, all right, like obviously like I didn't know anything because I kind of remembered how I felt. And then like just getting out of that, I'm just like, all right, what do I need to do? You know, what do I need to fix? Because I seriously thought I had my shit together. And then
Right.
like I realized like, oh shit, doing all this like inner work, I'm like, holy shit, like a lot of things are triggering me and I don't know why. And then after realizing like what the triggers were is like more of like, okay, if this person did something, why did it piss me off?
Right.
Or why did it affect me in a way? But it's always kind of internal, you know? Like,
You're looking inward.
because honestly, if somebody does something like a stranger, right? You don't care because you don't know that somebody, right?
Yeah.
Like they say something to you or whatever, like you don't really give a fuck. But then if somebody like you care or you like,
Yeah.
or somebody close to you say
Yeah.
something,
Ooh.
especially when it's true,
Oh, yeah. That shit's hard.
especially when it's true. Yeah, that's the thing because it's like you don't want to hear it, but then
Yeah.
the ego in your head like, yeah,
That's
no,
how-
you're wrong. But then
That's how my
if you get rid
arguments
of
work
that,
with-
if you just kind of like put away your ego and be like, okay,
Yeah.
that's
It's like you
actually
have to-
true of
you
what
have to
they said.
remove
You know?
yourself from the situation.
Yeah.
It's like you have to have the full. But it's hard to see outside of that tunnel vision in certain circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Because even on a smaller scale, right? Like even like on a relationship level, like with myself and my husband, you know what I mean? Like we'll come across situations like that where it's like, no, I know I'm right. I know it, you know? But then like when you remove yourself and like usually like the next day when I cool down,
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, he was right. But I don't want to tell him he's right.
It's like I don't want to
But
admit it.
I know he was right. But it's like I'm gonna stick it out. I'm not gonna let him know.
Honestly, with like my ex-girlfriend from like my younger days, I had such a big ego where
Really?
we get into arguments, we fight. I was always right, Yeah, honestly, like I never.
you were legitimately always right, or you thought you were always right.
I thought I was always
Okay,
right,
I was like,
and then like
relax,
like
JERiCK.
she would say something, and then I was just like, nope.
You know,
No.
you know, I feel like I'd believe any topic JERiCK talks about with passion because it's just like him wearing those glasses. I'd just be like, damn, dude, this guy knows scientific facts.
I know shit.
I can't even tell him
These
no.
are bad.
Yeah, so like I get that.
Where'd you get your glasses, JERiCK?
Yeah, it's a little like
Is that the key?
like 15 IQ points. I know shit.
Damn.
But yeah, it was just, and then after we broke up, like many years later, I just realized like, holy shit, I was kind of an ass.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was an asshole. I was like, looking back, I was like, man, I'm glad you fucking dumped my ass, you know?
You're like, I need
It's
to
like I haven't
apologize.
deserved. Yeah, I deserve that, and I apologized like years later, and
Oh, good for you.
Was there closure with that when you spoke to this person again?
yeah, and we're like, I mean, obviously we're not like friends, but like we're in good terms, you know. Like we don't hang out or we don't talk, but
But internally, like your soul's at peace with it.
yeah, definitely over that, and I hope she is too, you know.
Good.
Because like when we talked, she was like, "No, you were never really bad," but like, yeah, I kind of was. I was like, I treated you like shit, you know.
Dang.
Not in like I never cheated on her or anything like that, but it was more of like
Just that's your personality.
she was dating a narcissist, basically, you know.
Damn.
I feel that.
The narcissist ego was right
Yeah,
here.
honestly,
Okay.
like, because like, it's funny because like the people that just like met me like in the last couple years, they think like, oh, you're super nice, and like I am nice, but
But it took a whole journey.
yeah, like
Kinda
if you met me
nice.
like 10 years ago, yeah,
I don't remember you being that way. Were we already not talking?
yeah, that was after.
Okay, because I'm like, I knew JERiCK when like you barely talked, you barely
Yeah.
spoke.
You know, sometimes when I reflect on the past,
All right, we got the English accent.
so
Here
Let's
we
go.
go.
because this is the best part because when I go into like monologues, oh, everybody loves British accents.
Let's go. Let's go.
It's like
I would love
it's like
to.
an old British guy reading you a book.
That's true. That's true.
You actually want to sit there and listen.
Yeah,
Right.
It's like some Harry Potter shit. Let's go.
Okay.
Oh, I love Harry Potter so much. Oh my god. That was my
Guilty pleasure.
She's over.
Nerd.
You know, honestly, Felicia's
my-
like at work on her. Any second her boss is like not there, she pulls a big book from her bag. It's the collected series all in one book. It's like this thick.
Or like
And
an
I don't
audiobook.
even
She would
care.
just listen to it all day.
with pride. That or Lord of the Rings, because Legolas, you the shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Like Gandalf. You shall not pass. I love that. It gives me goosies, man.
But we digress. We digress. But go.
So sometimes when I reflect on the past, you know, you get that cringy feeling, right? It's like, I am very glad I'm not that person anymore. It just doesn't, you know, I mean, to be honest, you know, you can think about your ex-girlfriend, or you can think about the time you ordered fast food and you treated that person wrong, like for the smallest things, and you culminate them in just a big idea, and you say, man, that person needed to go. So, you know, like JERiCK said, the whole experience with this ex-girlfriend, you know, and him just like coming to terms with his, you know, how he felt, how his narcissism at the time, that's very important, you know. And for me, I would say that I had a girl, I had a lover, a beautiful woman of the past, and I'm very sad that she's gone, she's away from me. But you know, I'm on to new and greener pastures for sure. But you know, at the time, I also was very narcissistic. I was very egotistical. I thought I was doing the best I could for her, and honestly, I wasn't being the best man at the time. And you know, Felicia, I hate saying this because it's kind of embarrassing, because I feel like between the three of us, you're like the saint here.
I don't know about that.
I'll tell you why. We'll get into it.
Okay.
You know, so I mean, one of the things about me recognizing who I should keep in my life and who I shouldn't is experiencing things with people that understand, they've gone through those things where it's like, I shouldn't be that way anymore. It's not, it doesn't need to exist. and you can vibe with that, understand that, and build things that are beautiful from that relationship. And so, you know, honestly, finding a right partner. All right, I'm gonna jump back in regular.
Yeah.
regular voice.
Hey, that was good while it lasted.
That was
though.
good, man.
It
That was good,
It
man.
made it a little bit more believable, honestly,
All right.
too. I'm like, you couldn't have said that regular. I would have thought.
But finding a partner that also has probably gone through that or in the stages of it is probably, I would say, one of the healthier things I want to do in my life. Although, you know, you can have people that, you know, haven't gone through that just yet and you can still work with them. But
Yeah.
I think that in order to build beauty, innovation, that needs to happen in everybody's life.
Yeah, I feel like you didn't. I mean, people will change in their own time, you know? Like, we all go through different, some people go through it in, like, earlier 20s. Sometimes they do it in early 30s. It doesn't matter. There's really no timeline.
Right.
But I do agree that people need to go through some sort of enlightenment.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's what it is.
Enlightenment. You know, I've been hearing a lot of JERiCK and myself, and I would really like to peer into the creative genius, which is Felicia, and understand her, because, you know, to the audience, I'm sure you guys are really aware of how Felicia is. On and off the screen, she's a great person. And so, you know, for me, like, her and her husband, Anthony, have been really influential for me, part of my growth, because I see their relationship and I see how they interact with everybody else. And it just makes me want more. And it makes me want to do better as a creative and as a person. Because, you know, interacting with her, I just feel like, damn, you know, this is a really good person here. You know, a great mom, a great person. I don't think we should be in the same circle. Like, I haven't earned my way in that circle just yet. And then with her husband.
Where's my circle?
Right. Well, the thing is like, once you get into that circle, you belong there, you know? Like, even though you don't think you're worthy, or like, for anybody that's like, your circle is because you attract all those people around you, you know?
Energies.
So if you're in a good vibe, you attract people in a good vibe, you know? So,
and it's honestly, the biggest thing with Anthony and myself is just respect. You know, even if you come into our space and you're like, it's not for me, as long as you respected our space and us while you were in it, you know, like, we will never have any negativity, you know, to kind of say about your one. It's only until, like, you really bring in the nastiness of relationship sometimes that we'll be like, okay, this is not okay. You know what I mean? But ideally, it's like, all I ask is for your respect. But ego-wise, I don't know if I have an ego. Honestly, I think I'm like on the wrong, or the extreme spectrum of, like, non-ego. But I think a lot of it has to do a little bit with my upbringing, because I've done a lot of things that kind of put me in the spotlight. Like, I've done music. So I was a violinist, I was a pianist, I also did dance. And a lot of that stuff I did competitively. And you learn very quickly where you are in that type of competitive world.
where you stand, basically.
Yeah, where you stand. And I've had family members tell me, and I always go back to this because I kind of use that story. It was like a life lesson. I've never forgot about it. But I was a pretty good violinist in Reno, Nevada. I went to a competition for a lot of things, but I also was a violinist when there was a lot of child prodigies with violin and cello and piano. So really top tier. I mean, internationally, these were really good people. To my family, like my immediate family, very, very good. Like, oh, everyone's like, oh, you're going to be in the Philharmonic. You should do this. You should do that. Like, take it professionally. And I never really wanted that. I just enjoyed music because I enjoyed it. I loved playing, and I played in the choir with JERiCK. But I remember...
Oh, you guys were choir babies?
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to choir babies.
Yeah. That's not how we met. But basically, I was being taught how to play by my cousin, my older cousin. He's like second cousin, but, you know, older family member. And he's also a very good violinist, pretty well known in the in the Reno area, also a teacher for high school and middle school. And I wasn't practicing, and it was very clear that I wasn't practicing. And he kind of just told me, he's like, look, he's like, you're good. He's like, you're good in Reno. And he's like, but this is where you are. And he's like, this is where the rest of the world is. He's like, and if you're okay being down here, he's like, then I'm okay, like, allowing you to perform this way, basically. And I was like, damn, he basically just said I suck. But it's like you need somebody to kind of bring that balance, right? Because
That's very true.
Family sometimes can inflate you when they shouldn't. It's like, here's the participation award, good job. You're doing this. Like, to them, it's okay to, put your children on a pedestal as long as they deserve it and they've earned it. And they truly are that way when you compare them, because if you give them too much credit too soon, then they're going to carry that into other places where it may not be welcomed, and then they're going to have a different look, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
So I learned very, very quickly that I'm just very aware of who I'm surrounded by, which I think maybe I took a little bit too seriously, because now it's like I have a hard time crediting myself for anything. So even when it comes to like the studio, or a little bit of like if I'm trying to take a picture, or if I do all these crafts in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm still not good enough. So I don't like to identify myself as that person, because again, I'm trying to compare myself with the entire world.
Yeah, because like we talked about this in the podcast before, where we both like to deflect, when somebody compliments us.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like, not everything, but like, because like growing up, I was so used to like not talking about myself, don't draw attention to yourself, or, like if you talk about yourself, you're acting like you're better than everybody else.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's like, they're just full of themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. So so now that I'm getting a little bit more attention, it's like I'm not used to that kind of like attention. So like when people ask me stuff, I like to deflect. Like, oh, it's not that big of a deal.
Right, yeah.
Like,
I did my album in 4 months. Or,
yeah, so it's like, even that, it was like, oh, like, I don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to act like it's a big deal.
Right.
But then everybody's like, oh, that's pretty cool, But then
that can be a negative thing too.
Yeah.
It's like what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to find my I guess my security or my confidence. You know what I mean? Not so much ego, because I think sometimes ego and confidence could be interchangeable. But I think it's okay to have confidence, but not overconfidence. Like enough to believe in yourself and say, this is what I did, and present yourself in a very positive manner. But I think sometimes of how I look at things doesn't make me look good.
Because where do you think the line is, though? So between the ego and the confidence, because like confidence is good, ego's not as good,
Could it be like a little bit of like pride and being proud?
What do you think? I'm doing a story for Instagram.
Like someone who knows or who has truly experienced like this is what ego is. Like where do you know like it's okay to be here but not here?
Ultimately,
you know what I mean?
That answer is, I feel like philosophers and a lot of people have spent many years trying to figure that out. Psychologists trying to fine tune. Like even when you go to, like let's say you have a psychologist and you're going there and you're going to do your appointments, and sometimes when they're listening to you, they don't even know what to say to you or how to diagnose you. Like, because there's still like a lot of the mind. I read this somewhere. Actually, I watched this in a show and I read this somewhere. About 90% of the brain is still yet to be discovered. Mental illness is like slowly like becoming more prominent. Like people who have BPD, bipolar disorder, multi-personality,
personality.
Multiple personality.
Yeah, right. Multiple personality. And like extreme manic depression, manic anxiety, like all those kind of things. Those are all becoming more prominent, more aware. And so when it comes to ego and the physiology of how our brain is like set up, it's there. I don't think there's a finite answer for it, because when if I could sit in a empty room, right? Completely empty with a mirror in front of me. And I can look at that mirror and I can ask myself a bunch of questions, right? But I would never know if the answer is right or wrong because no one, like I said, society, culture, or media, they influence our ego.
Right.
They give us the morality of what's right or wrong. Like you said, you deflect, right? You can't take the compliment. Whereas in my culture growing up, I'll take the compliment and run with it.
Yeah.
Right. So there's the answer for that is just kind of like, whatever feels best.
Like experience.
That's true.
I was
That's
going to
true.
say,
To
I
be
feel like
honest.
sometimes outward looking in it also is perception, right? Because if you surround yourself with others who are like you,
That's true.
with that mentality, how are you ever going to know your freaking ego power or big ego or narcissistic ego, right? Because that's what you're surrounded by.
That's true.
So until you're presented or you present yourself
Well,
as
somebody
somebody who
counters
isn't
you,
like that, you're
you know?
like, no. Like, this is what you are.
I told when you guys hosted Diamond District podcast here, I said what they were talking about they had asked me to come on and I was talking about some certain things and then it like went into how appreciative I was of being, them allowing me to come sit on the podcast and talk, right? And then allowing to be in your guys' creative space, which is this, right? And then being able to meet people like JERiCK and like other people like that, it put things in perspective.
Right.
Because, I also dropped a quote bomb. Shout out Ray Lewis.
Oh, yeah.
I know it.
I remember that moment.
I'll mention it on here. He said a quote and he was like, if you want me to help you understand what the path you're going on, then I'll ask you this, I'll demand this of you. Show me your crowd and I'll show you your future. And that goes really well with the fact of like understanding, am I really good at what I do? Because if I really am good at what I do, then the people around me in the creative space that I'm operating will let me know.
Because
Right.
like, it's that saying, you're the average of your like friend circle, right? So it's like, because that's kind of, that's absolutely true. Like when you look at somebody like when you look at a person, like obviously not in a judging way,
Right.
just from straight perspective, who they're hanging out with, what are they doing, it's like, when people it's like, oh yeah, I want to be like a millionaire or whatever, and then you're out here like partying every weekend, it's like
Spending what you should be saving to be a
yeah,
millionaire.
it's like that's not really, you're not living it,
Yeah.
And then when you actually like see somebody that's like, oh, I want to be something, and then like you look at all his group of friends, what they're doing, and
They're
it's like,
working
all right,
hard.
like I can see like you're going somewhere, and that's just kind of like,
Oh, sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, stemming off of that, another thing. Okay, so like George Lucas, right? We all know him to be like the creative genius and God.
Did they have a
Star
group of
Wars.
circles where like Steven Spielberg and like all
so
those group of guys?
Yeah, so he was growing when he went to USC for film school. His alumni was Steven Spielberg. It was he was part of the
Was it
directors.
James Cameron's in there too? Like,
Yes.
it was basically
Yeah,
like
yeah.
big
All the
Right.
big
directors.
names.
Yeah.
And it was part of it was called the Directors Club.
Yeah.
And, you can tell who wanted to do what and how hard they were willing to go and try it, depending on the squads that were formed in that
Wow.
group. And because I watched a while back, I watched this Star Wars documentary and like, okay, well, how did George Lucas overcome making Star Wars? Because making New Hope, which is the first movie, Episode 4, I believe, like nobody cared, nobody wanted it. It was so low budgeted that like to make that from nothing was just like incredible. But luckily he had his circle. He had all the big names we all look at now. Like when we see James Cameron, Steven Spielberg, we're like, oh, those movies are great too.
Yeah.
That was his circle.
Right.
He was working with like a $2 million budget with a movie that grossed like 60 mil. Like from that just lets you know, like if your circle is committed,
Right.
and is willing to get that money and willing to like put their work in, the collective mind
Yeah.
will sprout endless possibilities for whoever wants it.
Yeah, because honestly, like, I'm very picky with who I surround myself with, who I work with. Because it's like, if I can't vibe with the person, like, I don't really care how talented you are. Like, if you're an asshole, like, I can't work with you. Like, that's just,
Right.
Oh yeah.
it is, you know, it is what it is. Like, I don't care who it is. If you're an
Yeah.
asshole, like, there's no way. Because it's like, especially in the creative industry, it's like, the vibe is so important, you know? Like, you gotta have
Yeah.
fun and, like,
Yeah.
be able to get along with people you
Authentic.
work with. Yeah, authentic
Right.
too. So yeah, the circle is so important, man.
It is important.
One
But,
one thing I will add on that is this. Stemming off of what JERiCK said a moment ago, which is like, you could be, your friend group can be, you know, not the best, but
make
you,
or break, you know.
Yeah,
you can be the one in your friend group that like does something. That role is really important too, because, you know, a lot of stars that we admire and we look up to have achieved greatness, have achieved things from over adversity, like increasing amounts of adversity, right? And has made them probably not the best person, but as a role model, probably one of the better people out there, right? And so, you know, I don't ever, when I talk about things like this with other people, I like to say, like, yes, form a great group, form a group that like understands you. But if you don't have the opportunity or the time to do that, it's not the end of the world. You have the opportunity to succeed yourself, but that strength is going to come from within. It's not going to come from the exterior. It's not going to come from, it may come from family, but let's say you don't have a good family, then it's not coming from there either. You know, it's interior. And usually, you know, you're committed and you're actually getting somewhere with it, you're going to find the people around you that resonate with you, that weren't really doing much of their lives, are going to want to be a part of your life, help do something in your life, because they know this person's going to do something. He's inspiring me.
Right.
True.
I may not be able to enjoy what I want to do now, but, you know, I want to help this person get where they're at because they've been so committed. They've been blood, sweat, and tears. Like, you can have a bully growing up, punking you, treating you dirty. You can hate him with passion. I've hated my bullies.
Yeah.
But if you're watching this, I love you. Okay, I've forgiven you. But that's part of it, is that you can have a bully beating you to a pulp every day, and he breaks you down to the point where it's like you want to give up, quit. And then yet you still have the strength, some kind of strength to just keep going, yet doing your dreams, being committed. That person, you could have somebody like that who wanted to treat you the worst, treat you the best, be there for you, support you, because now you're inspiring something in somebody who disliked you, who hated you.
Right. Now
they're finding things in themselves that they'd never seen before because of that shining light that you have in the room. And so, you know, oh man, it's a touchy subject for me because growing up, man, I had bullies.
Yeah.
Oh,
So did I.
Man. But if I
Screw
didn't,
you bullies.
but I mean, if I didn't have those guys that beat me, you know, or would treat me wrong, I wouldn't have gotten to boxing. And then I wouldn't have gotten into the very threatening look that I had in high school and middle school, which was, you wouldn't want to touch me because now I look a certain type of way.
Right.
So I'm very glad that happened for me.
Yeah, honestly, like, a lot of the low points in my life too. Like, obviously you don't feel grateful during that time because you're like, why am I in this moment, you
Right.
know? But then, like, looking back at it, like, all the low points in my life, I'm like, yeah, I'm glad it happened.
That's why it happened, yeah.
Yeah,
There's
'cause,
a
like,
reason.
Those times will be the, like, determining point for you for, like, change, you know?
Oh, pivotal.
Yeah. And
It's true.
yeah, I feel like everybody just needs to get through that. And like, as much as you want the world to just be like so positive all the time, but like the negative times are like the good times after you get over it, you know? Because like those are the things that will actually like change your life. Because like when you're comfortable and like everything's good, like you don't need to change,
Right.
you know?
Well, think
Need to be
about
challenged.
Yeah,
think about what entertainment sells you. Right? The world is shit.
that's true.
I mean, the audience, you guys agree, right? The world is shit. We can agree the world is shit. It's not. It's not perfect, and I think it's far from being perfect.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
Because you got atrocities being committed now, all these things, but entertainment, the guys, the stars in entertainment who do profligate peace, love, happiness, why do you think they're at the point in their careers right now and they're living their lives? Is because us, the consumers, buy into it. I mean, not to say it's a negative thing, but we buy into it, meaning we invest in that person because we like what they project out into the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And as a person, when I go to a Travis Scott concert and I rage, I'm getting everything out. But that person, he's being himself, and he's
Right.
trying to provide something for everybody that no one else has provided before, or other people have tried providing it, but in a different way.
Right.
And so it makes me buy into the experience. It makes me want to make sure that person goes farther and higher, and entertainment in itself is like, is actually the definition, I would say, is to pull us away from what we're actually experiencing in reality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's a distraction, honestly.
It is.
That's why that's why there's so much money in the entertainment industry, because it's like a distraction to our reality, I guess.
I want to say this though, okay, and I want to know if you guys understand this.
Okay.
It's because of the bourgeoisie.
The what? Oh my god. Bourgeoisie.
Okay, so there's like a meme.
Uh-huh.
It's like a ongoing joke where birds, the pigeons, aren't real because they're like flying cameras.
Oh yeah,
for the government
Oh
to
my
watch
I
us.
saw
gosh.
that too.
And so it's the bourgeoisie. But
No, I didn't know that.
I would not put it past the government to not be invested in the entertainment industry, because you know what? I mean, I don't know if you guys ever saw the documents they released on flying saucers, the UFO documents.
Yeah.
Okay, so that, funny enough, when that thing came out, when Trump was still president, right next, right following that release, they were like, you saw a bunch of artists coming out with new projects. You saw the government putting out. Trump was talking about something out of left field. I forgot what it was, but it was so controversial. It pulled everybody's eyes away from it, because like they released it because they were receiving pressure, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't want everybody to.
Yeah, wasn't that
consume it.
during like the BLM time?
Yeah.
Yeah,
actually
but like
was.
the thing is like it, like the BLM was like so, like everybody was on it, everybody's watching it, like they didn't even care about the UFO shit,
Yeah.
honestly.
No. And that's crazy.
It was
'cause-
funny because like they released that like the military or whatever released it, but like nobody cared because like BLM was more important to them,
Right.
which is, I mean, we could talk about conspiracies
theories all
like,
day, but I mean, to
Yeah.
bring it back to the point, which is that when we think about trying to evolve as a person, you always think about I think about time. I think about how quickly I want things get done. Myself, others, because you see child prodigies,
Yeah.
violinists at like 8 years old, right? And then you're like, damn, I'm not there yet.
Right.
At least until I'm 16, I got to be good, right? And so that has a huge effect on your ego. I think about your current state that you're in, how you're dealing with the situation that you're in currently. How can I handle certain situations, right? If somebody came through this door and was like, give me all your money, right? I'd be like, I don't know how I would handle the situation. Honestly, I'd probably give them my money, right? Because it's better not to be a hero and get killed. I mean, I don't want to die. I mean, it's a lot of little things that I think that play into the bigger picture. And, like JERiCK said, it's important for an artist to go ahead and figure out those things within the personality to make them better, to make them great. So like, let's say you're that one guy in the artist circle, right? That makes it big. And now you're feeding into the entertainment sphere, and now we're buying into it because we appreciate it and we love it. And then that's just the ongoing, that's the ongoing cycle of the world. Ego is necessary. As much as it's important to kill it, it is necessary.
Yeah, because honestly, like, being self-aware, I don't think I have as much ego as I used to be, for sure. But I think I'm 100% sure I still have some. Because, like, you still kind of need it a little bit, you know? Like, I feel like because, like, the confidence and the ego kind of blurs that line a little bit.
Yeah.
So, like, if you don't have that confidence in yourself that, like, oh, I can do this, it's kind of like, what's the point, right? So sometimes you kind of cross that. Like, I don't know, like we said, like, it's so hard to answer. Like, are you pulling from confidence or are you pulling from ego, right? But I think, like, ultimately at the end of the day, like, you should, like, doing something, like, creatively, like, try not to be as egotistical as how you know, like, it's so hard because it's like you wanna show off to the world, like, hey, I'm confident, I got this, you know, like, I know what I'm doing. But then you don't want to be that guy too, but it's just like,
where you push people away.
You push people away, and also like, oh, my shit is so good that everybody needs to like this, you know?
And then everybody's like skipping your shit because they don't want to listen to it.
Yeah, because like people can tell off energy too. Like I think people will buy into you because of who you are as a person and not, you know. I mean, obviously your craft has to be good too.
Right.
You can be a good person and not a good artist. So
I want to touch on something really quickly because you guys said you both deflect. I was going to interrupt, but I was like, you know what? I need to let them say what they're going to say because I'm actually interested in what they're going to say. But I was going to say, I hate to break it to y'all, but luckily for you, I'm here. People like me are here to tell you how beautiful and amazing your craft is. Because I was just telling Felicia the other day, actually, was it yesterday or 2 days ago?
Yeah, a couple of days ago.
I was like, yeah, dude, JERiCK's production is so good.
Thanks.
I was like
yeah,
I was going into it. I was like, I will watch because normally when I see like artists like doing sing-alongs on my feed, I just like scroll through it. But because you invest in like the right color scheme, it's soft in the eyes, the setup, I want to watch it more just because it's like that, because the quality's good. It's better than average. And you know, that makes me, a person who's also working in the creative world, more intrigued on what you're doing. And, you know, to flip it over to her, you know, I walk into this space. The previous studio I really liked. I thought it was super cool. When you guys had me there the first time I met you guys, I think I met Anthony first. The space was small, but it was
it was smaller than this space.
It was like this room, but like a little bit cropped.
More now, yeah.
That space had so much personality though, and you could just tell like y'all spent some time making it look a certain way, and that makes, like, you know, a person that works with cameras, obviously photographers rent your space out, want to be in the space. It makes them tap into something. Like, oh, let me use this corner really quickly. Let me use this lighting. And shout out to Mickey Mel's. Yeah. Great photographer. He took photos in that place that were like amazing. Super.
And he always utilized the space.
Yes, to its fullest.
Which I totally encourage. If you ever come and use the space, I encourage you to use other parts of the space other than the backdrop. So
beautiful.
That's the idea. When it's done, that's the idea, is to have multiple opportunities to create.
And that's what I'm saying. Do you hear that? That's what I'm saying. She has a vision. She knows how to utilize what she's got. And that in itself allows people like me to see the bigger picture. So I am also very thankful that y'all got into the creative space because I'm
thank
I'm
you.
seeing things that normally I wouldn't see from other people because they're just putting in subliminal effort or nominal effort, if you will. And it just gets so tiring. You get so tired of seeing people who don't want to go ahead and just go further. Like, dude, take that extra step.
Yeah.
That's true.
Make
The extra step, the extra detail makes a difference, you know?
It does. It does. And I'm just, man, I cannot stress to everybody that watches this, I cannot stress to you, if you really want to go somewhere with something, you need to invest in yourself. Okay?
And always challenge yourself. And welcome the challenge, welcome change. And always do your best to elevate.
Yes. Agreed.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's important when you have a network like this that, you know, I see you're doing something, but not in a negative way. I'm like, oh shit, like he be doing that. Okay, I gotta,
It's like, I gotta step
level
my
up,
game
you know?
up a little bit,
But
you know?
not
Yes.
like,
But it's like a friendly
but still
competition,
encourage
you know?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like I will always support you, but of course, everyone's end goal internally, I think, is to be their best version. You
Of
know,
themselves.
yeah, exactly. Regardless of what craft it is, but again, like tying it back to ego, I've always felt like if you had too much ego, you prevent yourself from doing that.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
'cause
true.
it's like you kind of
It
put
cripples
these,
you,
put
you
these
know?
blinds on, you know, and you now have tunnel vision because that's all you want to see. But it's like all this other stuff is going on behind the scenes around you. But if you don't think they're good enough, you're going to fall behind. Like I truly believe that. Like you are putting yourself way far behind when
Yeah.
you don't allow someone else to be better alongside you.
Or you're just like always comparing yourself, you know?
Yeah.
It's like people are different.
Well,
you
yeah,
know?
because then you start to lose that authenticity. It's like now you're kind of blurring yourself with somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's actually, so one of the topics that I think Anthony wants to talk about is, are you copying or are you inspired?
Yeah,
'Cause
that's
there's a
true.
difference.
That is true.
There's a difference.
They do say, as an artist, right? Artistry in itself is this.
It's like copying. It's like the highest level of like flattery or something like that.
It's along the
That,
lines.
yeah.
It's along the lines. But this is a Pablo Picasso quote. Shout out to Pablo Picasso.
All right. This guy got quotes for days. Let's go.
Hey, that's the OG right there, man. I mean, he's over. He's up. Hopefully, he's up there watching this, understanding. Like, yeah, I said that. That was me. But no, he said to steal someone's work or copying someone's work is not stealing, but it's like it's an improvement of the artist's work at that time they made it. But stealing or stealing the exact work and then doing something with the stolen exact work is what the definition of artistry. But I don't think stealing was the word. I think it was another word.
Right.
But
I know what you're getting. Like I know what you're.
there was like
you're
two
saying.
levels to it. It was like I can take what she kind of did and do something with it, and then
Flip it.
Right,
Make
like
it be your own.
like bootleg. That's it. Bootleg is like the level, like Dante's levels of Inferno, right? There's 9 circles, right? But like in Pablo Picasso said, it's like there's like level 1, which would be bootleg, right? Level 2 is clearly not bootleg. You're just doing something with somebody else's work and just mimicking it a little bit. And then the final tier is taking a whole work and then doing something off of that whole work.
Like making it your own.
Right. But like you're incorporating things that you would do yourself, but it's clearly theirs too. And he said that will always be the continuing cycle of artistry, because how hard do you think it is to create an original sound nowadays?
There isn't an original sound, honestly.
There isn't. I was going to ask this question. I was like, how do you think Mozart felt? Like coming up with music, because like when you think of classical music, you think of Beethoven, you think of Mozart, you think of a bunch of Russian. I know there's a bunch of Russian composers, right? You think of those guys being the original, not original, but there's guys before them obviously too. But you know, things evolve, right? Until into written history, you think of those guys, but then you can't go. It's hard to go prior because, you know, cuneiform and Greek, Latin, you know,
Yeah.
a lot of history gets muddled up because history is written by the victors. Just so y'all know, history is always skewed by the winners. Okay.
Agreed.
But like nowadays, to make something original, it's like impossible. I need to go, if I hear JERiCK's beats and sound in his music and I think I can do something with that, I'm going to try to do something with that, but I'll collaborate with him. But, in the general sense of what I'm talking about is that it's for me to find inspiration to do something, maybe I need to look at his work. Maybe I need to look at Felicia's work.
Right.
Maybe I need to find my niche, and it's selling the personality that I got, selling the vision that I see, and selling what I'm trying to project into the universe. And I feel like that's a good combination of what artistry is as a whole.
Right.
Individually, we're not going to be able to do the same things, but I could be a painter, and then this person can be a sprinter. Funny enough, these two still collide together.
Yeah.
Because that's an art form.
Mm-hmm.
Learning to sprint properly, not to get into it, but
right.
There's technicalities. If a painter captures images, they're going to capture form. They're going to see that's beautiful. I'll put it on paper, on canvas.
Because honestly, like any art is just like your own take of it, you know? Because there's really no, honestly, I don't think there's really any like original idea. There might be rare ideas, you
that
know,
sell millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, there might be really rare ideas, but then I don't think there's really. Yeah, it's so hard to just come up with something super original, you know.
Right.
Yeah, so like when it comes to music, it's like, dude, everything's been done. Like,
It's just
there's 12 notes. Is it 12? 12, right?
Yeah, I think 12.
There's 12 notes. How can you like fucking?
There's been millions of people on this earth, right? There's been at least millions of adaptations of those notes.
Yeah.
Terrible and good to this time point right now in our lives. So we're like, what?
Yeah.
How are you going to find that one combination?
Yeah.
And,
Right.
that's part of music theory that I was learning. I was like, dude, trying to study these is just like, I might just end up ramming my head through the wall.
Yeah, that's why I took like one semester of like music. I was like, nope, I'm not doing music. It was just because it's like theory and it's like not the fun music that I wanted to get into,
all the technicalities.
Yeah. But anyways, that was pretty good conversation, man. We appreciate you coming to the show, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys letting me be
It was
here.
our longest one yet.
Yeah. You know what's hella funny too? It's like when you actually gave us our compliments. It was honestly a little uncomfortable for me.
Yeah, I was like, oh, deflect.
It's because like I'm obviously very grateful and like I know you meant it too. It's like, but it's like I'm not. I guess I just need to get over that and I need to like get used to that, because I'm not used to like.
Yeah, it's like just be thankful and then that be.
Yeah, it should just be like.
Yeah, like don't
receive
make it weird.
Don't make it weird.
Why you make it weird?
Why you gotta make it weird, bro?
I don't know,
bro.
That totally make it weird.
But it's
I
like
make a face. And
yeah,
I
it's
make
one of those
sounds.
things. Is like I don't know if it's ego or whatever, but it's like I don't know what it is. It's
You're
just
worth the compliment.
I think that
I don't know. It's
just like me trying to deflect it. I guess like my old personality trying to bring back like, hey,
it's almost
no,
like
you don't want attention. You
it's
know,
almost like you're trying to like prevent having an ego so badly that
That's
you're
true.
like
that you're just like,
no.
whoa.
That's true. But
don't
that's like
want-
that could be like
I'm too humble.
That's like a different level of ego too. It's like, oh, I'm
Ooh, is
too
that
good
my
for
problem?
compliments.
No,
I'm just
not too
appreciative.
good. I'm not.
I
too
think
good for compliments.
it's just about.
I mean, I do appreciate it. Honestly, I do appreciate
No,
any
really
like attention I
thankful.
get. I'm just like,
Very
this is
thankful.
actually really nice. But then, it's just like,
But then it's almost like a little bit too like you're questioning like the.
it's like, do I deserve this?
Do I deserve it? Are you genuine? Like, it's too
Yeah.
much. Too much thought. I'm like, and for why?
Yeah, that's true.
Why?
Who gives a shit? I'm fucking awesome.
We're all fucking awesome. All three of us are awesome up here.
That's right.
Whatever level of ego we have.
Don't ever let anybody ever tell you wrong.
Yeah.
Can I-
yeah.
Can I read something?
Go for it. Is that why you're on your phone? Like you're being rude, Felicia.
I'm ready.
Can you read it like in a Russian accent, too?
No, I cannot. It's gonna sound really lame.
English
'cause
accent.
I was going through Instagram.
Okay.
And one of my friends, she has her Instagram is inner.bree if you want to check her out. But she made these bracelets too.
Oh, those
but it
bracelets
talks
are
about
nice.
ego. She did this thing and it's like ego versus soul.
Oh.
So I was
okay.
gonna read
Let's
it,
go.
okay? And you guys can tell me if you believe it or not. So Just to start it, so ego seeks to serve itself. Soul serves others.
I agree.
You agree?
To an extent, yes.
Okay. And the next one, ego seeks outward recognition and soul seeks inner authenticity.
Yes.
No,
No? Why no?
because ego is the projection of self. Ego is your inner and outer. It's your personality. It's who you are as a person.
True.
Good or bad? Yeah.
Yeah, like
It's true.
you can be a good person. That's part of your ego. It's part of your
Right.
soul. They're one and the same. I think like soul is like.
But if you have one without the other, then is it possible?
I feel like to old people, like ancient people's soul was to describe ego. Mm-hmm. But nowadays, I think we talk about soul as like being like the peace and the happiness and all the
Right.
all the good things of us.
I feel like the way I view ego is like your defense mechanism.
That's it.
Yeah, it says here ego is fear.
Yeah, it is.
That's what it's saying.
It is.
Like ultimately after everything, because she says, just to go through it quickly, so it says ego sees life as competition, ego seeks attention and validation, ego is ruled by time, ego seeks control, and ego is fear. And then the alternative to that is soul, and soul, it says soul sees it as a gift, soul looks inward, soul trusts the flow of life, and soul surrenders to freedom, soul is love. But I do believe that sometimes ego is fear.
Because honestly, the only time I really felt free was when I was on shrooms. That was the only time.
Man, everybody
Yes.
No,
so
honestly,
many
it was
people
like
talk about shrooms. I'm
because you're
like,
ready, Felicia.
I'd be loving
The universe been, you know,
like, I
hey.
eat mushrooms.
But like honestly, that
I
was
saute.
I've been I've been on this earth for 32 years,
Damn.
and that was the only time. That was the only time
You're
that
like,
I felt like unconditional love, no ego. Yeah. Even though like now I'm just like, oh, I don't have a lot of ego, but I still have ego, you know?
right.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he says I don't give a fuck all the time.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really give a fuck, but you know, a little bit, like subconsciously I still give a fuck.
He's like, no, I give a lot of fucks, but I'm gonna tell you.
But yeah, like that was the only time. And like
Wow.
I don't know how to get to that point. I don't think you can
There's
without like
it's just
it's just a journey, I guess.
just more psychedelics, maybe.
I guess, right?
Microdosing.
More shrooms, baby.
Just
That's
be
all
on
it is.
shrooms every
Just do
fucking
the
single day.
microdose.
I'm gonna tell you
You'll
right
be
now.
good.
If you try a DMT,
Oh yeah, I definitely want to try DMT. I just
you-
want to go on the fucking moon and just never come back.
if you want help with your ego death, if you want help with that, do DMT.
And I'm just gonna announce it over there. If you got some DMT, let me know.
Oh my god.
We don't obviously we don't advocate for
Yeah, we don't advocate. If
don't
you don't want to
advocate.
do it, don't do it,
Yeah.
please.
but this is just for our personal journeys, and if you feel
Yeah.
inspired to do so from our bravery and courage to
Yeah.
enter the great abyss, then we will.
You done DMT?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was.
That's why.
There's a video of it, and I'm like drooling.
No, you gotta watch Mike Tyson talk about DMT. It's
Really?
fucking great. It's fucking
What?
great.
You know, somebody mentioned that he was actually good. He actually spoke on ego too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's so different now.
Wait.
Yeah.
He's funny. He still speaks funny, but I mean,
Yeah.
Oh my god. I used to see Mike Tyson all the time at LVAC in Las Vegas.
Because honestly, like,
Yeah.
swear.
honestly, because
Swear.
like
And my dad would be like, go take a picture with him, and I should have, because he looks so nice all the time. Wave, say hi. I
Yeah.
saw him all the time at the gym. I was like, damn, this is crazy.
oh, nice. That's awesome.
Legit Mike Tyson right over here with a damn tattoo on the face and all.
Yeah, no, it's crazy because like I thought I wasn't really like, I mean, I love boxing, but I wasn't like super fan of it. But I've only like heard of Mike Tyson, you know, like obviously
When he
he's
bit
like
Evander Holyfield's ear off.
that, and then also like outside of it, like how he's
I
like
watched that.
Hangover, the first Hangover.
Oh yeah, that too.
that too, and
Yeah.
then like obviously I thought of him as like, oh, this crazy ass person that parties all the time,
Yes.
and like basically a freaking egotistical person.
Yeah.
And then I don't know why, but I just went into this YouTube rabbit hole.
You found something.
Yeah,
like
I
my
was
3-year-old.
I was looking through DMT, and then I saw Mike Tyson talk about it in Joe Rogan's podcast, and then I was like, he's a different person than I thought he was. I thought he was just this crazy ass dude.
Yeah.
And he was like super nice, and like the way he talks about DMT is just like, all right,
Yeah.
I want to try it.
Let's try. Ooh,
Let's try it, Felicia. Let's go. Felicia's like, let me just
Watch Felicia.
step into like the shrooms first, and then we can
Let
talk.
me get some Reiki sessions first.
Watch Felicia do DMT and then come out speaking only just Spanish, just fluent Spanish, but no English. She understands English, but she's like can only communicate in Spanish. Just DMT again to reset, ends up speaking Russian.
That'd be so. I'm just very curious about it, but like that's a different podcast episode
Yeah.
for sure, because that's
Another
like
one later on,
a whole different level of enlightenment.
I guess.
Well, I'll say this to close off the thing, everything going on here.
Let's go.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Potter.
just jump through all these accents really
All
quickly.
right, go ahead.
I'm very thankful that you guys have invited me to speak on this wonderful podcast, the topic of ego. It is very hard to understand all the intricacies that go on with this. You know, it just you never
Some
get
Russian
it.
accent,
You never
yeah.
get it. You know, but you know, at the end of the day, you know, if we don't talk about these things, we never learn. And if we never learn, we never continue with our lives and progress and be innovative. So,
Very true.
thank you for allowing me to be here.
Yeah, thank you for your insight,
you.
man. That was
And your
some really cool
accents.
insight, dude, and like the cool
I
accents.
think the British one's
Oh.
the best. I really enjoy that one.
Oh, was the Russian like very invasive on your ears?
No,
Oh.
I just the British one just
No,
sounds like
yeah,
very
yeah.
like.
I mean, British accent is just more,
I feel like,
pleasing to
man,
the
that's
ears.
a real
Yeah, it's smoother.
believable stand-up guy. I don't know.
Oh,
like,
that guy, he's gonna tell you a
British
story.
accent.
You
You're
know
gonna love
why?
it.
It's because Harry Potter. She's
Harry Potter.
she's like subconsciously
Oh, yeah.
like, oh, that sounds like Harry Potter.
Oh,
Let's go.
man. Harry Potter was like.
You sound like you're from London.
I will. What? I will probably cry if I ever go to Harry Potter World. So I will
Let's
dress
go.
up.
they
I
have
will
that,
dress
that's
up.
right. Yeah.
I will get the wand,
The wand.
and I will live out
The wand.
my 13-year-old self's fantasy.
I'm sure your
I
kid
don't
would
give
love
a
that
Oh,
too.
he gonna love it.
Yeah.
I
he
tried
did.
to read him Harry Potter. Mind you, he's only 3. It's a very long book. Not working out so well. Even though it was the picture book, only got through like a couple pages. So we'll try again next year.
Yeah,
He's a
when he
little
gets older,
older.
he'll probably appreciate it more. But yeah, thanks for being on the podcast, bro.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. I think
Nice
that was a
to
really good. It was a
finally
really good topic. Really good topic.
Meet you. I mean, we met.
We've
but
met
we've
before.
never talked.
Yeah, true. But we actually, you know, we had a good conversation. So I feel like I can solemnly say that you're a cool
That
dude.
I am up to no good.
Thank you,
Oh.
sir.
Oh, mischievous.
Get over it, Felicia. Okay, sorry.
So
That was good. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Peace.
Peace.